All right, now we're back with meditation 6. In the previous meditation 5, he did give reason to believe. I use the word argument there, but it wasn't really a argument because um, I meant to say that there's reason to believe, given what he says, what he says in the fifth meditation about God, that there is reason to believe, given that material bodies do exist. However, in the sixth meditation here, he gives argument for real distinction between mind and body, and he also gives two arguments for material bodies. So this is about the existence of material things and real distinction of mind and body. So he says, do material things exist as subject of mathematics or pure mathematics? And it's true. Yes, they do. So the first argument whereas imagination versus pure understanding, where it says a triangle is three-sided and has a lot of other properties, and it's using the understanding to understand what a triangle is. However, think about the 1,000-sided figure. We can't conceive or imagine what that would look like, much as we can't perceive or conceive of what a 999 figure would look like either. So we are unable to picture a 1,000 sided figure. So therefore, imagination fails. Pure understanding deals with mathematical things, and imagination is not an essential property of mind, and this relies on something besides the mind to exist but the body. And understanding is where the mind turns in on itself, and that's where the body does come in. And Descartes in the whole thing does kind of continually rely more on the mind than the body, because the mind or the res extensa can do a lot more than the body can. But the body, somehow this whole thing is me, and it does relate to the whole idea of perception that we're doing. So where imagining is where the mind turns out to the body, where imagination does go out, where understanding goes inward on itself. The meditator perceives body, but that's difficult to prove. So there's most things about the body are clear and distinct, and that's more than what imagination can give us. So the source of sensory ideas resemble ideas themselves. So does knowledge confirm the things outside of the mind, or the res extensa? And does that happen via these senses, or does that prove the existence of material bodies? And it says, why am I attached to this here body? What and how is it my own? And that's inclined by nature to assume the direct connection of mind and body. So nature is going to sort of make it so that the mind and the body are same thing here. But it's really, according to Descartes, it's not. Material things are inclined to be perceived the way they are, and the meditator is to believe or assume this. So what is extended versus non-extended? So he proves one way that he proves the existence of material bodies, because they represent ideas, and how we can sort of turn outward to this body, and how with nature there's this clear and distinct connection between mind and body, and the whole idea of the body itself and how it's sort of connected here. He said that there must be. So, that's one way of looking at it. And he thinks about things that are extended versus non-extended, and what is the mind without is. But this is a main point. What is a mind without the body? And with God, we receive the material object, so therefore they must exist. And we looking at the mind-body dualism, looking at God, looking at how we perceive things via perception, imagination, understanding, and how nature has this connection, has this direct connection between mind and body, and mainly about God. This first argument for the existence of material bodies comes from God. God is the source of this proof, because God is probably the closest that we get to perceiving, well, not perceiving, but more imagining a material object. So, because of him, they must exist. And the second argument has to do with mind-body dualism. And so he says he discusses as to how they are really distinct, and how these senses are adequate, but they're not certain, and they help get us around. He kind of ends here by abandoning all this exaggerated doubt that he had before, where before he was being really skeptical and doubting everything, or he's going to really abandon that. And he says that these senses help get us around, even though they are not certain, and when they're clearly and distinctly perceived, then they are more certain. So he shows that the body and the mind are really distinct because of how the body is a thing that is yet connected, but it's also the body is something that is less relied upon to understand anything here, and how the body or material bodies in themselves are things that we know exist, but we don't have a direct handle on. So he does argue those things. So I'm going to conclude with one more video on concluding this segment in this intro to philosophy course, and then we will conclude on Descartes, and then we will probably move at some point to Leibniz. So thank you.